Okay, so in relation to Chrysalis, that provided a stall at Chester Pride and was promoting transitioning, etc., to families with young children, I have put this together. This is the request for an internal review, because the original questions that I asked in my Freedom of Information request that went into the council were fudged. So I'll just go straight into it. I said, Dear Cheshire West and Chester Council, thank you for your response to my Freedom of Information request dated 17th of February 2025. I'm writing to request an internal review under the Freedom of Information Act 2000, as I believe the responses provided do not fully address my questions and may involve unnecessary obfuscation. Given that the questions I asked pertain to the safeguarding of vulnerable children, this is concerning. Please pass the following on to the person who conducts Freedom of Information reviews. So then it goes, number 1, it's in relation to question 1 and question 8. So question 1 and question 8 was me asking, have we referred into Chrysalis as an organisation? And also question 8 was asking, what other LGBTQ organisations do we refer into? And I also asked for more information about the nature of those referrals, the number of kids, the ages of kids, what else? Which team referred them, which organisation it was, and I was trying to really ascertain what kind of expertise, what level of expertise we expect organisations to have. Is it okay if it's an unincorporated organisation? Is it okay if it's some bloke? I'm not saying that is the situation with Chrysalis, because I don't know. I can only go on what's available, what was said to me when I spoke to the stallholder, and what's available online. But what's available online seems to suggest that it's someone who's on a state pension, who's self-funded, who enjoys a certain amount of promotion by organisations like GIRES and something called Consortium LGBT, but isn't a formal entity, doesn't hold funds, sounds like it's quite informal. And from the leaflets that I picked up on the day, I just don't think that is a reliable organisation. It doesn't look like it's a reliable organisation for any local council to be referring vulnerable young children to, who've got mental health issues or have ideas around wanting to be the opposite sex, to provide any kind of evidence-based advice. I could be wrong. I'm only saying what my impression was from the information that I've had sight of. So they're the kinds of questions that I'd asked. That was the kind of information I wanted to try and elicit from the council. And because they didn't, and now I'm asking for an internal review, because they didn't give me that information and they kind of fudged it, this provides me with an opportunity to be more specific, so that it's harder for them really to dodge having to give that information. So these aren't new questions. It's just that my previous questions trusted the council to answer honestly and in good faith. I don't think they've done that, and so I've been more specific when asking for this internal review. So I asked, in relation to questions 1 and 8, referrals to Chrysalis and other organisations. The response states that no information is recorded and there is no statutory requirement to do so. However, this does not confirm whether records exist in practice, e.g. case files, emails or referral logs within children's services. Please review whether such records are held, even if not systematically collated. Further, for reasons of safeguarding good practice, with reference to working together to safeguard children, updated 2023, and compliance with GDPR legal requirements, it would be reasonable to expect clear and accurate records to be kept to facilitate coordinating with other agencies and following up outcomes of vulnerable children. So there is kind of a legal requirement in safeguarding terms on local authorities to coordinate with other organisations and to follow up on the outcomes of children that are referred to them for support. And if they haven't got any kind of records at all of who they've referred on to, it's going to be difficult for them to do that. So I'm trying to uncover, the council have said that they're not legally required to, it's not a mandatory requirement to keep those records, but really when we dig a little bit deeper and we look at the specific legislation, it probably is, or at least would be considered not to be good practice in safeguarding terms if they're not. I said, does CWAC, Cheshire West and Chester Council, have in place a policy or process that requires those working with vulnerable children who have mental health issues that include gender dysphoria or cause them to be questioning or distressed about their gender identity, to record any individuals and agencies that those children are referred onto by CWAC for specialist support and in order to follow up outcomes. So now I'm asking more specifically, not just if they have records of who they've referred kids onto, but whether they have a specific policy or process in place that addresses that. So they should provide a copy of that if they do. And I'm also asking it in a pointed way. I'm asking it about children who have mental health issues that include gender, So this is how the council really, in light of the CAS review, should be looking at these issues. They shouldn't be, the child's, mentioned the word gender, and so therefore we're going to take that as the forefront issue and we're going to just scan around for any gender-related organisation that we think might be able to offer something that we're not quite sure how to handle. That's my fear and my concern, is that because of the ideological policy capture, that might be what we're doing, and that's what I'm trying to find out. And if we are doing it, we need a policy in place to make sure we don't. We should look at it first and foremost as a mental health issue that has this as a kind of almost like a spin-off. It's a secondary thing, and the deeper mental health issues are the ones that we need, or the neurodiversity are the ones that we need to be looking at as a council first and foremost, and looking at agencies who have that expertise, rather than hyper-focusing on this thing around gender and gender identity confusion. Let's have a look. So does Cheshire West and Chester have a policy process in place for assessing suitability and safety of such specialists, e.g. in relation to supporting children with gender identity related issues in order to refer children on safely? If so, how does Cheshire West define the suitability of such specialists? And is there a list of approved providers that Cheshire West and Chester officers would refer children with gender related problems and families onto? I think that's important. I think you kind of would expect that, and you'd hope that it would be uniform across all teams. Certainly if it's not, it's something that we could look at as an area for improvement. And then I've said, if so, is this list uniform across all referring teams, and would CWAC officers or staff ever refer such vulnerable children onto unincorporated organisations, an adult who is not suitably qualified, or an adult whom it has not been established by Cheshire West has full up-to-date valid DBS clearance in place? And again, I'm not saying that anyone that I have been in contact with, including this organisation at the Chester Pride event, doesn't have valid up-to-date DBS clearance, or that we haven't done our due diligence on that, or the Chester Pride haven't done their due diligence on that. But I'm just kind of trying to sharpen the focus of local authority onto the law and what the expectations of the law are, and what good practice would dictate, just to make sure that we are really being very careful and thorough about that. Because as we know, whatever we like or don't like about what was in the CAS review, one big theme from it was consistently that organisations should proceed with extreme caution, and if we're not doing that, we should be. Having said that, when I asked a full council question as to whether this council is in alignment with the CAS review and accepts the findings in full, and I asked this of the leader of the council, Councillor Louise Gittins, she avoided answering it, which was really concerning. So there's that as well. But all of this is helpful evidence, because if a legal route does need to be pursued in order to make sure we're keeping our children safe, then we need to know the answers to these questions, and if we're falling down, we need to know what areas we're falling down in, because obviously children come first. Would a child CWAC supports that presents with gender dysphoria or gender related concerns be automatically considered to be potentially in need of safeguarding and be supported in line with normal safeguarding protocols? So again, I'm trying to uncover and unpick there whether we're operating in an evidence-based and safe way there in terms of children, in light of the findings of the CAS review, etc., or if we are ideologically captured in how we're responding to referrals of kids who present with these gender-related issues. Next, please provide answers to the above questions and provide copies of all policies, guidance and protocols pertinent to the above questions. If no such policies, guidance or protocols exist, please specify this. Please also provide a list of approved agencies that Cheshire West considers suitable for referral of gender identity distressed, confused or questioning children, if such a list exists. If no such list exists, please specify. So that's that first question in relation to questions 1 and 8 that were fudged. And then the next question is question 2, funding and training. I'll do a separate video on that.